Hello and welcome. Today I'm joined by my very special guest, Suzanna Mavety of Acaboom. How you doing, Suzanna?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Nice to see you. And Rory Black of Dataloft by Price Hubble. How you doing, Rory?
Very well, very well. Yes, I coordinated my green background with Susanna, so it's all
We're all
beautiful.
on point today. So I almost feel like I don't need to introduce you because anybody who doesn't know you guys, where have you been? So Acaboom, a much loved product, a valuer's best friend if you're looking to win instructions. And Dataloft again is everybody's marketing department's dream in terms of producing information, statistics, and all sorts of great graphics that display those images and reports that help agents every single month. So both of you very, very well loved and going together really well in this integration as well. I know you've got some exciting stuff under the hood there. So maybe Susanna, tell us a
Mm.
little bit about how this integration works and where it's coming from.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Acaboom is a market appraisal toolkit. So that's from the moment you book your appraisal into the diary, what we send them before the meeting, what we take with us to the appraisal, and then it leads on to what we send afterwards. So what we are famous for, if you like, or I like to think, is the proposal that goes out after the appointment. That is the real instruction winner. But of course, as we know, 32% of clients take longer than a month to instruct. So then it falls to nurturing, which is really where Dataloft and this partnership comes together. Because although Acaboom's well known, I prefer the word famous, but we'll go with well known. For that side of it, before, during, and immediately afterwards with the proposal, we do offer a nurturing tool, which is all about staying in touch with the client and keeping your agency top of mind from a much longer period of time. And I think I just mentioned that stat about the 32% of clients do take longer than a month. Yet most agencies don't really do much with that data.
No.
They're not necessarily sending them anything, and quite often they're not calling them anymore either, because typical trends will show you from CRM data that we will call the client trying to convert them for 3 to 4 weeks. And if we haven't won the instruction, kind of that's the end of the road, unless they're getting property matches as an applicant. So really what we look to do here is implement a structured nurturing journey to help, like I say, keep that brand top of mind. And we've just enhanced that with the Dataloft integration. So it was good before, but now it's even better.
It is superb, and you're right. So many people within our industry we're good when we've got the ball right in front of us. We know what it is we're meant to be doing, but that follow up and the sale very often will lie in that follow up, even if it's weeks or months later. And it's whoever contacted them last sometimes stays in their mind as the agent that they want to use, and it's great practice. But you make it so easy, don't you?
That's it. And as I often say to clients, you're very good at what's coming in through the front door, and our mind tends to go on to the new market appraisals in the diary. But we don't want to cut off the end of that pipeline where we've already done most of the hard work. They have a proposal, and we will track that. But ultimately, we want to stay in touch with them. And my little phrase is always, you're top of mind, you're first on the phone, because then we notify you when to call them. You're the one with the instruction. And in order to do that, of course, you need the right tools across the board, which is where we come in.
Fantastic. So, Rory, from your point, I mean, Susanna's going to show us how this looks and works so that we're not just talking philosophically about it, but we can actually get our hands on it and see what it looks like from an agent's point of view. But from your point of view, in terms of this integration, I'm presuming it's just a really natural partnership.
Yeah, no, it's such a neat tie-in because you know we're about helping agents to look informative and actually, what people are looking out for is information that will help them make decisions in life. And for home movers, that's all about what's going on in my market, what's happening with other properties that are like mine. So to be able to compare, to combine Akaboom's, property specific data, our market specific data is really powerful. And I think, from our point of view, we arm estate agents and whoever else uses our products with huge amounts of content and information, branded and all the rest of it. But the most powerful thing is what do they do with it? And we're massive fans of nurture marketing. I totally agree with Susanna. It's actually taking an Acaboom pitch pack out to meet a customer will definitely give that wow factor at an instruction meeting. But that person is likely to see 3, 4, 5 other agents. And actually, the most important thing while people mull over their decision about which agent to use is what happens after that point. And we totally agree with that as well. And what we do is the content that we create, which is local market insights, whether it's sales insights, lettings market, new homes market, or very property specific information through PriceHubble now. It's all useful and informative. It's not really pushy and salesy. It's the type of information that's going to help people to make a decision. And if you're the agent that is staying in touch through all the Acaboom tech, wowing at the point of instruction, and then sharing things that are going to make them think, actually, that's really useful. I'm ready to go ahead now. And you're the agent that's given that bit of information and advice. You're going to be way up the pecking order in terms of getting chosen. So it's a really nice combination of sort of our content, Acaboom's nurture program just works really nicely.
Because you guys were doing hyperlocal content before everybody else was using it as a buzzword, but really it is all about, if you want to attract interest from a potential customer, talking about things that are happening in their area, on their street, possibly even just their house, is the best way to grab their attention. So
Yeah.
Susanna, maybe you can show us how it works in practice.
Yeah, sure. Let me give a little bit of a run up on that, a little bit of an introduction. So as I've already mentioned, there's the other aspects to Acaboom first of all. So you've got your pre-appointment, which introduces the valuer, confirms the meeting, really make sure they think you're the agent of choice before you get there. The presentation for at the meeting, which essentially aids the valuer in bringing to life why they should choose you above the next agent that walks through the front door. And then that bespoke proposal, which is, again, reminding them of all those key benefits, days, weeks, months, even some case years, later, why, again, they should instruct you, and clicking to instruct. So the agency agreement is literally embedded in that proposal. So just like on Amazon, you can click and go on the market. But then, of course, then we're now leading into the nurturing side of things, which is how we help you stay in touch with them. Now, that nurturing can go out at different time points. So it might be in a high chimney pot area. We want to communicate with them on a regular basis, like weekly, fortnightly, or it might be a nice monthly update that you're looking for your client database. Now, we deliver these by email. It goes from the valuer that they met to maintain that relationship and familiarity, really, when opening content. So they'll receive a nice email in their inbox from the person that they're familiar with, telling them they've got a nice market update on their area. So if I can just share my screen, hopefully get to the right place, you can see it starts with the market update report, which is just here, which gives the client their filters that they've got set for their parameters. So, for example, the postcode and then the radius around that postcode that they want reporting on. And you can see the other filters around there, and they can actually change them to what sort of content they're receiving. And then we'll give them a nice property update on exactly anything new that's come to the market near them, maybe price changes that have happened, maybe reductions and things like that. And also things that may have sold or let. So, sales or lettings appropriate, really. But essentially, it's a bit of a nosy neighbour report because it's telling them all what's happening near them. That's about them. So whilst that was great and a great way of kind of staying in touch anyway with the client, I give you the Dataloft integration, which if I click over here onto this tab, this is all the data that we collate for them in nice visuals and images to make it very digestible for the recipient. But ultimately, over to you, Rory, if you want to talk us through the Dataloft data and kind of why it's important.
Yeah, no, great. Yeah, so a few things to say. So, for the first thing is that who can use this? Well, it's basically at the moment any of our mutual customers can use it. So if you're Acaboom and you've got Dataloft, it's up and running and you can go for it straight away. And it's very simple to switch this the Dataloft and PriceHubble data on. And the way it works is that, yeah, like you said, David, I like to think we were pioneers really in when we launched this platform 7 or 8 years ago in offering instant local market insights and national insights, regional insights, anything possible you could want to know about the market. And very much then introducing it to estate agents as a bit of marketing content for the first time ever. And that's sort of grown over the years. And most of the agents now absolutely fully buy into the fact that their most important marketing is the content that goes out that keeps people up to date with what's going on in the market. So what you can see here is this is an example of Ruislip. Hope that's the right way to pronounce
Right
it.
slip it is indeed,
Yes.
yeah.
It's spot
Some
on.
well-known clients in that
Yeah.
area,
Not very close to
Famous
Scotland, but
industry personalities, yeah.
correct?
So what we do is so say you've got a Dataloft account and you've got an Acaboom account. What you do in your Dataloft account is if you're an agent in Ruislip, then either you report on like the whole of Ruislip, or you could even delve into areas within Ruislip. And whatever little sub areas or main areas that you've got set up on your Dataloft account feed automatically through from our API as a data solution into Acaboom. And Acaboom customers can then choose which of those areas they want to report on. So they can be really, really targeted and segmented in the way that they do the marketing, which is spot on. So, the right information going to the right customer at the right time and all that kind of important stuff. And so what we've done here is a nice flavor of what's going on in the local market. So we look a bit at the sales market, what's the average prices. It's obviously quite a nice part of where is Ruislip?
It's just outside London, isn't it? Right.
Where is
Yes,
Ruislip?
Watford.
Yeah,
That's sort of area. Yeah.
short tube ride outside of London. So
Yeah.
on the west-hand side, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so you can obviously tell the average house price of 548,000 is quite a well-off area, and a nice 1.65 million sale there. But we just give a flavour. So we look at what's happening with average sales prices, what's happening with average rental values, how many homes sold in that area, what's happening, over 1 year, 5 years, 10 years in terms of house price changes. And then we look at different property types and a bit about the census. If you scroll down a bit, Susanna, I'm not sure. So there's a bit about the rental market and then a little bit of rich data that we feed through from our rental data set, looking at average age of renters, number of households renting privately. So the idea of this is that they glance at information, they want to just get a feel for what's going on in the market. And then this automatically updates every month. So you don't have to do any work at all once it's set up.
And I think that's one of the beauties about Dataloft isn't just the stats or the data, it's how it's presented to the end users and to the clients, because very often agents might have had all this access to this info for years, but how do you put it across to somebody who's not perhaps a property expert, but they're interested in a way that at a glance they get a very good picture of the market, and your infographics and the way that this is presented, I mean, it's concise, it's clear, it's clean, and that's why it matches so nicely with the market update report from Acaboom as well, because it's all presented in an aesthetically pleasing manner, and it seems to fit and flow, so that really you don't have to be a property expert to interpret these graphics. You look at it, you know at a glance what's happening in that area, and I think it works for all kinds of customers. So I think that's one of the beauties of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the team's done a great job of integrating this, because everything's in the same look and feel and style of visually that Dataloft subscribers would normally have. And yeah, like you said, people glance at things now. They don't want reams of information. And so if you can bring a bit of data, a bit of a stat to life visually, then that really helps. And then obviously, like, this is just a snapshot of what's going on in the market. And the really savvy agents that, Susanna and I both work with, they'll have information, more in-depth information on their website that they'll push people towards. They'll have emails that go out with more information as well. But it's just a no-brainer that the two of our companies kind of joined forces on this. The content plus the nurture. Acaboom's got such a good list of people. And I think I was going to say, Susanna, as well, what's interesting is like not only like you've done your pitch, you've gone and done that instruction meeting, you've done your pre-work, your post-work, and then you enter this sort of weekly email, nurture emails campaign, which just keeps you front of mind. But that's quite unusual, and that makes you stand out already as an agent. In fact, most companies in the world are really bad at nurture marketing. So to have that happening for you automatically is interesting. But then actually it's the and we you know Price Hubble that we're are very good at this bit, which is actually even after that person has instructed the agent, then they keep staying in touch beyond that point, and they create a sort of lifelong relationship with them because a lot of agents will that you know that they'll sell the property or rent the property and then that's it. The sort of relationship finishes. But actually we very much view as that your relationship just starting and you're actually entering into a long-term relationship where that customer can come back for more in the future or may buy other products. And Acaboom is Susanna, you guys keep that nurture going for a long time as well, don't you, on behalf of the agents? And that's so important.
I can't remember which one of you used this phrase. It may have even been in the marketing stuff that I read before this, but somebody used the phrase keeping the conversation going. And it's hard for agents to keep a conversation going when you've been shut down. So are you selling your house at the moment? No. That could be the end of a very short conversation. You'll never talk to them again. But if you can get in front of them, even with a glimpse of information that will sort of entice them back to you at some point, keeping that conversation alive is so important. And it's the content behind that conversation that drives it, isn't
it? It is. And the content is key. As we always say, content is king. But when choosing a nurturing journey, I mean, we're talking about agency today, but wherever we are, when we're choosing it, we need the content to be about the client and not about your services constantly. Because if it's all about you, let me give you an example. We do a market appraisal for a potential vendor and they choose they choose a competitor. How dare they? But let's say they do. How do we then keep that conversation going? Because quite often, if we keep sending the messages saying, let me sell your home, they will hit that unsubscribe button because they think, no, I've chosen someone now. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
We all know that if they don't sell that property in sort of 12, 13 weeks' time, we want that instruction back. Now, how are we going to achieve that with nurturing content? We're not going to achieve it, like I say, if we just talk all about ourselves. So whilst in a proposal, when we're hoping they're going to make a decision, and by the way, that is where 93% of them make a final decision during that proposal. So whilst that needs to be about the agent and about why they should choose them, the nurturing needs to take on another life, another area. And then that really needs to be then, how can I add value to that client long term? And to do that, like I say, it has to be about them. And that's what the market update reports. And indeed, the Dataloft integration delivers. It's about that long term, like you said, David, keeping the conversation going, but in a format where they're not going to click unsubscribe, because then you've lost that then.
Yeah.
And of course, again, we're nurturing that content. And then when they click on it or, open anything, Acaboom's going to notify you to call them again. So it's completing that circle and making sure you're the one at the first of the phone ahead of the competition with the business.
That's it. It's nurture for a reason. It's a gentle sort of coaxing, isn't it? And almost a supported process rather than hardcore sales, which tends to result in people going, hang on, I'm not asked for this, I don't want this, and goodbye. So I think, gently nurturing people along till they get to the point where they're now comfortable to use your services keeps you in frame of mind for just longer and longer.
Yeah.
And
I think like the proof of the pudding that people don't mind receiving it if it's the right kind of content is that like I know you guys have very low unsubscribe rates.
Correct, absolutely. Yeah,
our clients generally have very low unsubscribe rates if they're sending out things that are useful and interesting to read, and that's really important to learn from as well. Well, for all of us, really, in our own marketing as well.
Absolutely.
But it's really interesting. You say it sometimes takes a year for someone to make a decision after they've had their house valued, because that, a year is a long time. And they've probably forgotten who came out to value their property, and the other agents might not have reached out in that period.
Absolutely, it's fascinating.
A lot of them will probably start all over again. But if you've just kept sort of gently, keeping that conversation going in the background, then they're going to pick up the phone to you, start that conversation.
Or you pick up the phone to them, Rory, because we've tracked it and we're telling you that.
That's one of my favorite
that's
features of Acaboom is it tells you when you should make that call.
well, luckily, the average vendor and landlord don't know that, so that's what it's all about. But actually, just looking this morning at analysing some data in terms of how people, because we're releasing a new feature called Hot Prospects, which essentially tells the client or tells an agent who their hottest clients are, and that's using an algorithm based on what the recipients, their vendors and landlords, are clicking on, looking at. So it's not just all about opening the proposal. If they're interacting with the Dataloft data and the market update report at a later stage, that revives that contact. Is somebody in the database that's interested. So literally what we do is we score them and tell the agent, these are your hottest ones. These are the ones who are most likely to instruct either you or someone else, because somewhere out there they're looking to make a decision, so call them. So that also is a big part of it in terms of the Dataloft integration. But indeed, what was interesting looking at the data itself is nearly on using all agents' databases, we nearly always identified a prospect who was more than a year old in their top 10 leads. Not in every case, of course, but we kept seeing it time after time.
So there's often someone who's been sitting on a decision for a year.
Yeah, or
Quite
interacting
common.
for some other reason.
It can be even longer. I've got to tell you, the amount of times that clients have come back after sort of 3 years, and in their mind, it was just yesterday that they spoke to you. But for the rest of us, 3 years have passed, and it can work the other way as well, because they could get to that 3-year process and go, actually, we need to re-update these valuations, so we're going to call agents out again. Now you almost, if you're not going to win the instruction right there and then, you stand a much better chance if you're one of the 3 or 4 people they're going to call out again. And the way that you stand that chance is by staying in front of them. We are notoriously in this industry, we are bad at keeping in touch. And it would be the simplest thing in the world just to send somebody a postcard every now and again saying, not forgotten about you, thinking of you, let us know if we can help you. But how much better is it if you can deliver value at the same time? Electronically without disturbing them. This is superb. The reason I get enthused about it, or I'm smiling about it, is that if you would have come to me 20 years ago and said, I've got a product that can do this, I would have thrown you out of my office saying that this is witchcraft. You can't possibly predict when somebody's going to instruct or help me keep in touch with them. But this is a it's a godsend. It's great.
Yeah, and the holy grail is then we've learned an awful lot working with Priceable is that holy grail is then let's not stop the conversation. Let's just keep it going forever. So they've got I work with a big estate agent group in Europe who have a portal that they log into, and they can, after they've sold their property, they can track the price of their property. They can look at what else is selling, exactly like Suzanna does with all those property comparables. And also and then as an agent, you could then, once you've kept that conversation going, you can bring in other products that they might be interested in. And because I think everyone assumes that once someone's bought a house, they're going to stay in it for a long time, but sometimes things can change very, very quickly. So you want to make sure that you're the agent to get back in touch with really quickly as well.
Again, I'm going to take it. The agent front of mind, the agent first on the phone, the agent with the instruction.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant integration, guys, and I can see why it's going to be working for so many of your customers, and it's much needed because we can't be trusted to do it ourselves sometimes. And I'd much rather go to sleep every night knowing that it's working in the background without me having to get involved. And some of us get phone call anxiety. We don't pick up the phone as often. We're not proactive, and sometimes a little nudge or a warm opener where we know that we've kept in touch with them, so that when you do call them, it's not, oh, I'm hearing from David, but he's not been in touch for 3 years, so why is he calling me? This is the guy that has kept up with me the whole way and tried to give me information that's relevant to me. And I think this could be the difference between, if you don't win it on the day, this might actually win it for you in the long run.
You're ticking all the boxes. Yeah.
And I love second chances. So this is this gives you ample chances to get that instruction. So it's absolutely superb. Thank you very much for everything
you.
that both of you are doing to help agents. But it's really exciting to see how both of your products evolve and continue to sort of add things in that we hadn't thought of previously. And it's really great solutions. So thank you.
Oh, thanks for
Yeah.
having us on.
Thanks
Brilliant.
very much.